Good evening. A new audit shows regulators may have cut corners on Missouri's booming billion-dollar marijuana industry.
The state auditor says it could be costing the state millions of dollars. Our Hannah Falcon starts us off tonight with what this report is showing.
That it was a monumental task to start this program from scratch.
Years since that first legal sale of marijuana, Missouri's auditor Scott Fitzpatrick found several issues that may have cost the state millions.
I mean, the conditions were such that if it did happen, we know how it happened.
When Missouri legalized marijuana, regulators were challenged with how to fairly hand out licenses to potential business owners. When reviewing applications, the state auditor's office found significant problems. Some applicants revealed their identity on what was supposed to be an anonymous scorecard, and scores varied wildly even when answers were the same. The state spent $12.5 million in court defending the licensing decisions.
Could this have been prevented?
Issues that we've identified in the report around the application scoring was probably a contributor to a larger number of appeals than would have otherwise existed if some of those deficiencies in the scoring process had not existed.
In response, DHSS, which oversees licensing, claims the audit used a small, cherry-picked sample size to come to this conclusion. Despite the issues found, the program received a fair rating from the auditor's office.
It's something that can be transferred to the next time a state department or state agency is tasked with setting up a large program.
Because the marijuana program brought in $255 million in tax revenue last year, Mo Can Trade says it's actually outperforming its promises to Missourians. Reporting in Jefferson City, I'm Hannah Falcon.